Hey y'all, Adventure Brad, little Shackleton the Explorer, and look at this. There are some trees. That's kind of a tree. That's not it's a tree, but it's not enough to hang a hammock from. That is, but there's nothing around close enough, unless you use your motorcycle, to a tree. So how about that I do this? You know, you guys all know how to do this. Make sure you use a tree saver. That's why I like these sling style ones, because it's a tree saver built in. And use your handlebars. You just clip it on there, and clip it on a tree, and jump in your hammock, and then the bike lands on you. Yeah, it don't work. One thing while I'm thinking about it, no matter what you do, if you're doing it off your bike and your bike's not literally, no, there's no reason why you'd be doing it off your bike and not something else, and your bike and something else not be secure. So if you're doing it off your bike, don't put your head end on this end. Put it on that end, just in case you get karate chopped in the middle of the night. You don't want that in the forehead. Not that it'd be good anyways, but yeah. So anyways, this is the magic to all that's going on here. What I've done here is I'm up at my handlebars, nice high spot. Gets it out of the way, but it's strong, keeps it out of the way of my cables. And then with a couple of bowline, and I'm not here to teach knots in this episode. You guys know, learn to tie your shoes the correct way with figure eights and not just rabbit underhole loggy. No, that's the wrong way to tie your shoes. Tie your shoes with figure eights. Then learn to tie a bowline. Those are the two knots that you like. Yeah, gotta know. That's a figure eight. So that's a good way to join rope and other ways water knot. So what we have going on here is two anchors staked out individually. One would have been sufficient, but I want two just because. If you notice, I have these rings, and I'm not using those little orange tops. I used to actually weld half a chain links on. Those work really good if you're taking down ground tarps or something. But on something like this, where there is a potential for the bike to fall and needs to rip out, when this tilts over, I want this to come off the end. So this is the only thing flying through the air. And I don't have an evil spike hooked to the end of it coming to hit me in the head. Because everything ends up hitting you in the head. That's just the way it goes. These are these little Night Eyes figure nines. I have a whole episode on these. Check these out. I really like these things. You run them around like that. I like to just take and double them over it, double it back over itself, just that way, because the only thing that really holds this is this rope holding through there. So if this gets flapped around, tripped on, dog kicks it or whatever, it comes off, the whole thing comes loose. So I back it up like that. So I got a couple of those there. And then this is my kit that I've included to stake down my gear. I got extra rope here. We'll get to why that in a minute. I have a little tiny hammer. One thing you'll notice that everything's painted yellow. I got some stakes here. And got a shackles. And this is my little bag of tricks. And in my bag of tricks, I got more little particle things. I got a piece of rope in case I needed to put it around something, mainly just because it's orange so I can see everything on the ground. I got more of these heavy-duty 110-pound, I don't know what goober that is, but it's now on my finger. Probably came out of the dog. And then I have a bungee cord here to hook to my tarpaulin to go over the top on one corner, because when you sit on the bike, and one thing when you set up a hammock like this, typically you set it up with a nice little sag in it like it has right now. Well, that's because I slept in it last night. When you set it up the first time, set it up tight. Pull that tight, because when you sit on it, the bike squishes down, everything kind of takes a settle. You might even need to tighten up your straps. It takes some adjusting, but once you got it, it's good. And then, but because it does settle, that's why I have this bungee, so I can hook my tarpaulin to it, and it keeps my tarp tight when I get in the hammock, and I don't get a sag in my tarp. Now this little rubber thing here, and this is for no tree option. So when there's absolutely no trees out at all, I have this pole that I built. That rubber bit goes through here, then it allows that green rope to go through with a loop on the end, and then it gives me a Y off either end to go to two individual stakes, and then I can hook my chain here. This is 48 inches off the ground, and I did a little measuring ahead of time. And this and I 3D printed a plug for this bottom, but I plan, when I use it or whatever, I use at home when I was setting it up in the field, I was using a piece of little wood here, but a rock, whatever. It works really good. And then this stake. And then I stake it out the same way, but I do instead of more of like how these are kind of just really not even in line with all the operations, I would actually splay them out in a 45. And the way I figured out on doing this is a lot of practice. Don't set up and had a long day, especially like the day that I had yesterday. You guys check out my Hidden Creek video. I haven't decided what I'm entirely at that yet, but it'll be around. You'll find it. You don't want to end up late in camp and figuring out this stuff. So set it up, screw around with it at home. What I figured out works best, if I'm just setting my bike in a wide open field and I want to stake out, set my bike square. This is my campsite. If there's any prevailing wind, I want it coming from here, because then I'll tarp down across here, stake it out towards the dog, and then I could throw a canopy out over here, and this gives me a protected shelter camp area. So figure out where you're going to lay it. Use, if there's plants, trees, shrubs, rocks, an alcove, use it all to your advantage. Just pay attention to flash floods and all that wandering good stuff. And then lay your camp out. And then what I did is I just kind of eyeballed this when I came in yesterday, and I actually ended up over a foot or two here, and this was like the perfect distance because I didn't want to get off the bike. But when I'm setting it up wide open with the pole, and I'm using nothing to set it up with, just stand and I count paces. And I count out 7 paces. So 7 paces, try not to knock coffee or dirt in my coffee, is right about here. So what I would do is I would square up off the back where I want my hammock in line, perpendicular 90 off the bike, something about here, come out my 7 paces, and then 2 to 3 feet apart. The wider you put them apart, the more stable that central pole is going to be. But the wider you put them apart, the more load each one of them will take. And because of math, you could actually get to some really high loads. So keep them kind of narrow together, 2 to 3 feet apart. Remember that you're in a trapeze. Don't go doing any funny business in the thing. In hammocks, you don't get crazy, and you just kind of sit down in them anyways. 2 to 3 feet apart. Run your stakes in, and you could daisy chain. You could run multiple anchors. I got a couple orange screws in here. They work really good. You guys haven't seen these things. Dig one out here. Orange screws work really good and soft. Oh, wait, I didn't bring them. Oh, wait, because never mind. I knew where I was supposed to be going was supposed to be really hard ground, like it is here. So, yeah, anyways. Orange screws, you guys look those up. Those are real handy. You can daisy chain out, run multiple anchors. Do more than you're going to think you're going to need. Test it out and that sort of thing first. But yeah, for me, it was 7 paces out. And once I set my 2 anchor stakes out, prep my pole, put it together, and all this is real fancy. This is a paddle oar for a boat that I got, and it has a gas motor on it. I don't ever paddle it. So I took the oar and I shortened it and drilled a hole. So I set my yoke up, stake out my 2 lines just like I did here, put carabiners on them, through the pole, run your hammock out, clip it to everything. Once you have your anchors put, I could literally pull my hammock out in one hand, bail it out of its bag, with the pole hooked all the way in it, hold the pole, and if both ropes are all kind of stretched out, I could actually stand the thing up with the minimal of dragging my hammock in the dirt, and that's always a nice goal. And then to take it down, you could just unclip it, let the pole fall, bundle it up, and keep it out in case it rained or did anything like that. So that's a big thing, keeping your gear out of the dirt. But yeah, that's about how I do it. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope that makes some sense. I hope that helps you guys get out, and hammocking is so much nicer than a tent. Sleeping bag is so much more compact. I sleep better, and he does too. He likes hammock because he ends up finding those little calf ridge folds everyone complains about. Nah, that's just a puppy fold. He crawls up into one of those, and that's his spot. So anyways, y'all, Venture Brad, Shackleton Explorer, thanks for tuning in.